For the last 10 years, Chinese knife makers been eating our lunch. First, they flooded our market with reasonably priced, plain out inexpensive, pretty well-made knives. And that knocked a couple of American companies straight out of the competition. If somebody told me that I would pay almost $500 for something like that, if anybody told me that I will pay almost $500 for a knife made in the People's Republic 10 years ago, I would laugh in their face. And yet, here I am. And the reason why, do you know the biggest secret? American companies don't make anything that is extraordinary. They just can't afford it. That's right. They can't afford the risk of putting something into production, which takes 2.5 years, and then risk it not hit the market just right to sell at least 6,000 knives to justify their costs. A Chinese company can easily afford to throw knives at us to see what sticks. And once in a while, something like that comes along and you have no choice. You want a cool, different, interesting knife, you're going to pay the price. But after paying the exuberant amount of money for this oversized and overpriced gimmick, and gimmick it is, see my video about it, and I scoured the knife market left and right, and I found all kinds of cool alternatives that work as well or most likely better than anything Riate can currently offer. And I'll prove it to you. Hi there, knife people. Hello, lady and gentlemen. Tonight, I will talk about some good news that are hidden in there somewhere. And the title of this video is Dragon Eat Own Tail. And I got this idea from two sources. First, somebody commented on my channel, and I can't find this comment for the life of it for some reason, so make yourself known if you know who you are. Somebody commented to me that if I want to look for a quality and expensive knife, I should look at Eafengrow on Amazon, which I did. And then just after I got that knife, I saw this video from the Knife Center. So thank you, Dave, and whoever else you are, for giving me this idea. And here's Dave's video.
Next, we have the Riot Tiger, a liner lock from Riot, not a frame lock. Once that blade is out, I mean, it's just awesome looking, isn't it? Compound grinds, you've got a flat grind near the tip, hollow grind on the recurve section, swedge along the aggressive clip there. We could call this blade a number of things, probably.
I'm not going to name this blade. What I'm going to do instead, I'm going to show you much lower priced blades that will do the same job, do it better than the Tiger, and look awesome while doing it. Starting with this $27 Eafengrow off of Amazon with a D2 blade and a liner lock flipper action.
Compound grinds, you've got a flat grind near the tip, hollow grind on the recurve section, swedge.
And here's another Amazon buy by Ruike. It's also a liner lock, and the blade on this one, at only $65 or so, is 14C 28N. An awesome, awesome steel by Dave's own recommendation.
Compound grinds, you've got a flat grind near the tip, hollow grind on the recurve section, swedge.
Before you type any angry comments, I can clearly see that it neither has a recurve nor hollow grind. What it does have, which the Tiger doesn't, is this lockout mechanism right here. It's not just your safety, it locks the blade, makes it impossible to activate the liner lock. So when you're chapping, batoning, and doing other untoward things with these knives, that particular one will act more like a fixed blade. If for some reason prices under $100 or People's Republic of China as a manufacturing origin offend you, here's an American alternative.
Compound grinds, you've got a flat grind near the tip, hollow grind on the recurve section, swedge.
This is Benchmade 496 Vector. It's discontinued now, but it's still available at some dealers at less than half the price of the Tiger. And this comes in 20 CV steel, has assist, which in Benchmade version also gets you this safety lock. And again, this knife can chop baton and split wood without risk of unlocking this access lock because of the safety feature. Finally, if you're craving a designer series semi-custom knife, the very same knife center sells this Andre de Villers Pitbull series knives. These are pricey, but they're still $100 cheaper than the Riot Tiger, and they come from South Africa, where they hand-assembled, hand-tuned, and run like a beast.
Compound grinds, you've got a flat grind near the tip, hollow grind on the recurve section, swedge.
One little caveat with this Pitbulls too. I have a gut feeling that there is some Chinese parts content in this knife, which is why I am making this video. Ladies and gentlemen, what we see here is the dragon eating its own tail. Listen up. This is the time to celebrate. We were all sad and disappointed in our knife industry and upset about China catching up and then in some cases surpassing the quality of knives that are made right here in a good old USA. But now we're watching People's Republic of China beating itself at its own game. You know what I'm saying? If you don't, let's watch this. This is me at a Tree of Doom testing this Eafengrow knife. And my usual test, as I always do with all knives, no matter how cheap or expensive they are, I strike this tree as hard as I can with the tip of the blade, as deep as I can get it in. And if it doesn't break, I consider it a good knife. I destroyed at least a dozen blades at this tree. Not this one though. Disclaimer, do not attempt doing this on your own. These experiments are unsafe. They can easily cause serious injury and very often they will damage your knife. Amazing what a $27 well-made D2 blade can do. In this test, what I'm doing here, I inserted the blade in a crack in the stump and I'm twisting it as hard as I can to see how robust is the construction. That is important because a big hard-working blade like this should be able to withstand side loads. As I proceed with a spine wax, I noticed that the blade is loosening up, so I stop the experiment. It is time to assess the damage. As you can see and hear, there's quite a bit of play. So let's go ahead and assess the damage. I put T8 bit into my Hoto driver. I have two of them and I use them all the time. I'll provide an Amazon link in the description. If you wonder why I unlock the blade, for the liner locks and frame lock knives, it's best to have the blade unlocked when you're tightening the pivot. This way you're not getting any interference from the locking bar itself. And while my efforts were able to eliminate side-to-side rocking, the vertical rocking is still going on. So I need to take a next step. And for that, I'm loosening the scales. I remove the pivot screw and I'm loosening the scale screw so that I can rotate the stop pin, because I can see that the blade dinked the stop pin a little bit. My Leatherman Free P4 tool happened to be handy, so I'm going to use the pliers on it to rotate the pin. The pin is not captive, it's free spinning there, so I can easily turn it. I turn about 60-70 degrees. By the way, I just got Leatherman Arc in the mail with MagnaCut blade, so I'm going to do a comparative video between it and the P4. Of course, if you don't subscribe and or hit notification bell, you will miss it. Let's see if my handy dandy solution worked. This pivot hardware has a captive D-nut, so tightening it is a breeze. Just a tiny bit of vertical rocking still exists, which tells me that spine walking this knife not only damaged the pin slightly, but it also deformed the liners, which are clearly not heat treated. But for $27, that is all you can possibly expect. I don't usually do this, but this time I will provide the Amazon link to this knife in the description, because I actually think that for $27 you're getting a very decent hard-working piece of cutlery. So here's the irony. 15, 17 years ago, what came out of China was something that looked like this. Something that looked like a knife, or multi-tool in this case, and had saws that wouldn't saw, and can openers that weren't sharpened, or owls that were of a weird shape and no sharp end. So that's what they were doing. Then what happened, American companies like Gerber, Buck, and Ontario went there and started making knives in China. And while they were making them in China, they were teaching the Chinese fabricators how to fabricate a quality knife. And those are quality knives. The ones that I showed, I really like them. They're inexpensive and good quality knives. But what happened, these folks in China, folks at Riot, for example, learned how to make a quality knife and then started marketing their own brand as a premium knife maker. Not only that, but they attracted the designers, because in the US it is impossible for a knife designer to get their product into the market in a period less than 2, 3, 4, 5 years. The production capacity is just not there. Their orders proceeding, so it's very hard for them to do. And by the time they do get it out into the market, guess what happened? The design is out there, people know about it, and guess who copies it and produces in their high capacity factories? I mean, don't read me wrong. Putting a quality knife like this into production, or complex, I'm going to say complex quality knife like this into production, also takes months and maybe even years. That's why they're so scarce, and it took them so long to bring this model into the market. And that's why manufacturers like Riot subcontract local Chinese factories. Whoever made this did not learn how to do these kind of complex grinds on day one. I'm sure somebody showed them the ropes. And this time it's Riot's turn to farm it out to a cheaper manufacturer, which will then take that know-how and totally undercut their prices by putting quality, and it is a quality knife, putting quality knife on Amazon for a fraction of the cost. This is 15 or 16 times cheaper than the Reate Tiger. This 14C28N blade from a known quality manufacturer in China is 5-6 times cheaper than the Tiger. So this holiday season, let's celebrate together. The red dragon is chewing off its tail, and you and I will win. What do you guys think? Am I dreaming? Let me know in the comments.